I loved this game when I left WoW. Now I just want to play a game that I can actually log into. I mean, the login problems are clearly temporary. Play something else for a while for the weekend if you want to avoid the queue. I imagine things will be back to normal by Monday. Makes sense I paid for a game to not play it because the servers can't support more than 25 people. Must be my fault for buying a game and wanting to play it after they hyped it for months. If I play another game, that's where I'm going to be staying. 3 days of no login is not acceptable. It's 2021. People are going to Mars, but Final Fantasy has wooden servers. And that's somehow my fault? Hey everyone, Brian here, and I wanted to take some time to address the anger around the Final Fantasy Endwalker launch. I think it's an important conversation to have, and you can see clearly from some of the comments that I highlighted at the start of this video, and you can see here on Twitter, lots of players are in queue, and unfortunately, the issue really isn't the queue, it's the 2002 and other errors that happen that kick you out of queue. Now, I'm right there with you. I actually have experienced this game in two completely different ways. One, getting up early and being able to play for a long period of time, having a good experience. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to sit here and say that I've had a bad experience while playing the game. And then at the same time, life finds a way. Like, I have to step away from the computer just like everybody else. I have, responsibilities that I need to take care of, and I wanted to give my wife a night off. So, stepping away from the stream, stepping away from the game, I've been unable to log back in. I'm right there with you guys with the 2002 era. Now, I'm not upset by this, and I want to talk about why I'm not personally upset, but I do want to have some empathy. I do want to say that I'm sorry that people are upset, that maybe you are upset, and there's nothing wrong with being upset. In fact, like, you've paid for the game, you want to play the game, this is early access, it is a perk of the game. So it's reasonable to be upset. You probably maybe, schedule time, or like me, like I scheduled time with my wife and she agreed that, yeah, I can play some games on this weekend. So the 2002 era is the worst part of all of this. I have no problem with a log. I think a queue, excuse me. I don't have any issues with queues because I think at the end of the day, if you get in a line and then that line leads you to a great experience, and then you have a great experience, that line is worth it. Like, that line protects the experience that you're having. The issue is that when you get in that line, and for whatever reason that line blows itself up, and then you have to get back in a line. And unfortunately, what I thought was actually happening was it was keeping my place, but eventually I just got nothing but 2002 errors, 2002 errors, and 2002 errors. So much so that I decided to just capture that, and that's actually what you've seen part of the footage of this video, is just a couple of the captures of the probably some now 60 odd attempts to actually log into the game. So I think there is obviously something unfortunately clearly wrong here. So to Paul's point, Paul isn't wrong in expressing their frustration, right? I don't want to sit here and say if you're angry that you're wrong, or if you're or if you have kind of my attitude, which is like, if it's just not working, I'm just going to go do something else. I'm going to value my time somewhere else. In fact, when Final Fantasy XIV's had rough launches in the past, the biggest one being Roban in recent history, I went and did something else. I couldn't get through the Roban wall, so I just pivoted. I looked at my time, I said, what is it worth? And I pivoted. Now, not being able to log into the game doesn't mean that you can really pivot in a 14 way. You want to play 14, this is the hype, this is the excitement. We've been building up to this for almost a year now, if you think about it, and the fact that we had the media tour, the announcements, and obviously the delays accordingly. So there's been a lot of hype. The unfortunate thing is that no matter what I can do as a content creator, no matter what Chris and I can do over at Work to Game, no matter what other content creators can do, there's just no way to really set the true expectations about just how difficult this situation in this weekend and probably for the next couple of weeks are going to be, and maybe even longer. Now, obviously, the longer this takes, that's going to, push people out. Is that a bad thing? Well, it's an unfortunate thing in the short term. I think Final Fantasy XIV is a strong enough game that even if somebody is frustrated and they decide to go play something else, like Paul is, considering doing, that's okay. Like, there's going to be opportunities to come back. And that's one of the strengths of Final Fantasy XIV. It continues to invite you back into the game with updates and we know we got updates. We know we got a schedule. We know we got more stuff planned for this game. So I kind of take that pivot approach, and I don't want to discount you. I want to especially address the frustrated and the angry people here. You're valid, but just because of that, there's no value in beating your head against a wall and this only becoming more angry. One of the things that I personally strive to do as somebody who's busy, like with 5 kids, I can tell you I'm busy, that it's important to take breaks. And this is a really good opportunity to put that into practice. You can beat your head against the wall. That's your personal choice. I am not going to stop you. However, I'm going to just say, listen, that's where the chips have fallen right now. 2002 is hitting everybody. There is no streamer privilege in this regards. Pivot and be happy. Choose to be happy, and you'll be rewarded, because you're not going to end up getting burnt. So painfully burnt on that you're just not going to give Final Fantasy XIV another chance. I think there's also an opportunity here to talk about technology. The line, it's 2001. They must be running on wooden servers. I wish there was a way I could say it without sounding like I'm punching down. But with the exception of Amazon and New World, there really isn't. The year makes no difference. The money makes no difference. If you've been following this game and you've been hyped, you know that Yoshi P and the Square Enix, they are competing against the big Microsoft, the Google, the Amazon. They're competing for servers in Silicon. Everybody's in this boat. And I think it's important, and this is an opportunity, so a challenge to you, not just Paul, but just all of us as humans, is to recognize that servers aren't just growing on trees. They're not obviously made out of wood. I know that's just a frustration point from Paul, but it's important to note that they're trying. It's unfortunate that the Oceanic Data Center isn't available. It's unfortunate that they haven't been able to acquire the servers. It's not these plug and plays. They're not just go down to the local, Best Buy or Walmart or whatever and buy a PC off the shelf. I wish it was that simple. And I think cloud solutions actually might be that in the future. And the fact that Yoshi P and his team, they've been trying to do everything. They've tried to test the game out on cloud, but it doesn't work necessarily with their engine. There's a lot of work that has to go into it. So as an engineer myself, as a gamer, I empathize with the frustration. As an engineer, I wish it was as simple as it seemed. The solution seems to be presented online. I wish it was that simple, that let's just throw more money at it. In fact, that's what Square Enix has been doing. The Oceanic Data Center, I think, would have solved a lot of what everybody's experiencing here now. The errors, though, also do take me back to ARR's launch. We had a lot of problems back there. So what I would tell you this right now is that I do expect that we will hear from Yoshi P on this. I don't know when. They've obviously working themselves very hard. We're all in this world working under different and crazy circumstances as it relates to the law and to how you go to work and what company policy is, and how to take care of your family and your health. All of these things are at play. So it comes down to me. This is how I personally handle it. You can choose to, try to adapt some of this to your life. If you want to, you can throw this all out and slam that dislike button if you want to. It's really your choice. But I like to look at things as to what can I control. A lot of people spend a lot of time in their lives focusing in on the things that they can't control and getting mad at those things. I'm guilty of this, right? I'm guilty of this. Whenever you hear me talk about my anger, a lot of people recognize my joy. They recognize my excitement for video games, but they miss my anger. My anger is in the things that I can't control. So I redirect, I refocus my mind. It's a conscious practice that I make specifically to focus in on the things that I do have control. And that's typically the way I respond to it. I can control me and how I respond to the situations that I'm presented. And so that all comes back down to the pivot. Change the plan and be happy. Pick something. And even if you're going to stick with that thing for months, that's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean it doesn't suck. I would like to be playing Final Fantasy XIV right now too. I hope that I can play tomorrow. But if I can't, I'm going to change my plans. And this is a long way of saying that I actually have changed my plans. I won't be stepping into the Endwalker story tomorrow or the next day. It might be a week, or it might even be 2 weeks before I have the opportunity, because I don't have all the free time in the world. And that means for me personally, there's going to be a lot of avoiding the internet. So I guess if nothing else, if you haven't, slam dislike, if you haven't, roasted me in the comments, I'm not trying to be preachy here. I'm just presenting you what I'm aware of and what I do. Is that please just respect kind of a no spoiler policy on the channel, if at all possible. I would really appreciate that. It helped me out. That would be a great way of saying thank you in that regards. If there's things I can do, if there's information that we get, I'll be sure to bring that to you. I don't want anybody to feel like they're attacked. I want them to feel valid. I want them to understand that this sucks, and it always sucks, and it sucks every time. And maybe it's the position in which that I follow a lot of MMOs, but at the end of the day, like, if you're not a company like Amazon or Microsoft or Google that can throw, unlimited resources at it, because they have unlimited resources. If you're a company like Square Enix, or like even as big as you are, you still are part of this global marketplace competing for limited resources. And those limited resources are insane right now, especially when it comes to the silicon to make the servers. It took me like almost 6 months to get a PC I ordered in January. I think maybe 5 months. I sent it in, it had problems, and I finally ultimately got it. And I'm just one guy. And that's the world that we unfortunately live in today. So it's okay to be upset. Best course of action is the pivot. And I'm going to leave it at that. I do appreciate your time, your attention today. Hopefully this video brought some clarification as to my, at least my point of view on the subject. And hopefully you're able to play and experience the game. The other and final aspect of it all is that obviously with issues and logging in, that only creates and exacerbates the issue itself, because people are afraid to log out. So a lot of people are having long gaming sessions under the guise that they cannot log out. So taking, quick little naps, or just like really trying to do their best so that way they don't get caught by the login queue boss. But I wish you luck in your quest and your raids to beat the boss, and hopefully we'll see something more addressed by the team on Monday. The best course of action isn't necessarily they can't throw servers at it. That's just not a reality. But what it could happen would be them to fix whatever is causing players to queue out, to have the game crash out, and thus remain in queue. If I have to wait in a 5,000 person queue, that's fine, as long as at the end of the 5,000 person queue I can play. But if I have to wait in the 5,000 person queue and constantly monitor it, I think it's just time to go play something else. And that's okay. Anyway, hope you guys have a good one. Thanks for being here. Love you faces. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But until then, take care. Please never use Discord notifications as you pop up sound again. Really love to watch the segment, hear a noise, stop watching the video, then check the notification, then come back, or perhaps just forget the video entirely. Ha! The Discord pings of this video kept making me think I had a message. Lol. That almost happened to me as well. I was making coffee while this started playing in the background. Then the Discord noise went off and I went to look down at my phone.
Yes, Brian, teach me how to heal on a controller. Taking time to learn, it feels awkward. I'm using your layout for buttons, so I'm looking forward to that video. Hey, he's back. Glad you're feeling better. Can't wait for your Sage controller guide in the future. That's right, baby.
That's right, baby.